up, folks? Permanent Patriot here. Back over on educateyourself.org. Finishing up on part 2 of the 21 goals of the Illuminati. And I'm going to try to keep my composure and not get angry here. So let's start with number 11. There's only 10 or 11 more steps left here. So number 11. To keep people everywhere from deciding their own destinies by means of one created crisis after another, and then managing such crises. And we'll get into that in another video with Agenda 21. This will confuse and demoralize the population to the extent where faced with too many choices, apathy on a massive scale will result. In the case of the U.S., an agency for crisis management is already in place. It's called FEMA, whose existence first enclosed in 1980. If you guys don't know what FEMA is, Federal Emergency Management Agency, these are people who are supposed to help you out during crises of natural disasters. And I think what they're actually doing is making more of a crisis for everybody. And I'll get into that in another video. And if you go to my page, Permanent Patriot on YouTube, Fighters that are Founders on YouTube, you will see exactly what I mean. Let's put it this way. 90% of the money that FEMA gets goes to them. 10% of what they get goes to you. Okay? Moving on to number 12. To introduce new cults. And continue to boost those already functioning, which include rock music, gangsters, such as the Rolling Stones, gangster rap, European black nobility. Again, another video I've covered several times. And all of the Tavistock created rock groups, which begin with the Beatles. Folks, again, you are not going to be famous unless you have sold your soul. Unless you're throwing up this sign, or this sign, or this sign, which does not mean rock and roll. It's not a term or a script for I love the Texas Longhorns. This is a satanic gesture. Okay? And if you go to, again, I've done several videos on this. Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, anybody famous, they will tell you straight, flat out, Beyonce, Jay-Z, they will tell you flat out that they have sold their soul to the devil for fames and fortunes. Okay? Which is why I do not listen to any of that crap anymore. I only have a handful of groups and or persons that I listen to. Anyways, moving along. If you follow my page, Shad Taylor, you would know that already. Anyways, moving along to number 13. To continue to build up the cult of Christian fundamentalism, begun by the British East India Company's servant, Darby. Might want to go and look up Darby. Which will be misused to strengthen the Zionist state of Israel by identifying with the Jews through the myth of God's chosen people. And I will get into that in another video because it's way too much to cover. And by donating And by donating, they mean, and by donating very substantial amounts of money to what they mistakenly believe is a religious cause in the furtherance of Christianity. Okay, so when you go to church every Sunday, they got a collection plate. They want some money. Okay, a 501c3, which is a non-for-profit, does not need money. So why are they taking your money? Hello, McFly. Why is a non-for-profit taking your fucking money? Moving on to number 14. To press for the spread of religious cults such as the Muslim Brotherhood, Muslim fundamentalism, the Sheikhs, and to carry out mind control experiments of the Jim Jones and Son of Sam type. Get into that in a minute. It is worth noting that the late Khomeini was a creation of British Military Intelligence Division 6, which is MI6. This detailed work spelled out the step-by-step process which the U.S. government implemented to put Khomeini into power. If you don't know who Jim Jones is, or the Son of Sam, what fucking planet are you on? Okay, Jim Jones killed over 900 people, most of them women and children, with fucking grape juice laced with poison. That's a whole nother story I'm not even going to get into right now because it really pisses me off. But talking about the Ayatollah Khomeini, the U.S. government has overthrown, and the CIA will admit this in blatant view. They will admit that they overthrown at least 51 countries. And they have invaded, the United States government has invaded over 150 countries. So I'm going to just throw those right into one ball and say that the United States government, along with the British government, the CIA and MI6, if you don't know what the CIA or MI is, it's pretty much the secret government. Okay? And if you go and look up the CIA or MI6 or MI5 or MI4 or MI any fucking other number, they will tell you right in plain fucking view that they are not run by the government. So, who's running them and why are they having to deal with anything like this in our government? Especially the Federal Reserve. Hello, McFly. Moving on to number 15. To export religious liberation ideas around the world so as to undermine all existing religions, but more especially the Christian religion. They're killing Christians all around the globe, Catholics and Christians. This is done by the Islamic State. It's got nothing to do with ISIS. It's got nothing to do with Al Qaeda. It's got all to do with governments. Because they are the ones that are funding them, giving them weapons, giving them vehicles, giving them money. This began with the Jesuit liberation theology that brought an end to the Somoza family rule in Nicaragua, and which today is destroying El Salvador. Now, 25 years into a civil war, Costa Rica and Honduras are also embroiled in a revolutionary crisis, along with Mexico and all the other Central American countries, instigated by the Jesuits. One very active entity engaged in the so-called liberation theology is the communist-oriented Mary Knoll mission. Might want to go and look that one up. This accounts for the extensive media attention to the murder of 4 of Mary Knoll's so-called nuns in El Salvador a few years ago. The 4 nuns were communist subversive agents, and their activities were widely documented by the government of El Salvador. The U.S. press and the new media, which is the mainstream media, refused to give any space or coverage to the mass of documentation possessed by the Salvadorian government, which proved what the Mary Knoll mission nuns were doing to the country. Mary Knoll is in service in many countries and placed as a leading role in bringing communism to Rhodesia, Mozambique, Angola, and South Africa, and a dozen other fucking countries. Have you ever heard of a clergy response team? I'm going to go through this real quick because I've done several videos on it already. Clergy response team are people appointed by the government to make sure that the people, the fathers, nuns, priests, reverends, the people who run the church, are speaking what they're supposed to be speaking for the New World Order. Okay? If they're not doing it, they lose their 501c3 status. They're done. Church is closed down. They've taken the word hell out of the Bible. They've taken the book of Enoch out of the Bible. They've taken many and very, very important scriptures out of the Bible. Number 16 is easy: to cause a total collapse of the world's economies and engage in political chaos. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Moving on to 17. To take control of all foreign and domestic policies of the U.S. And it really doesn't, it's not just about the U.S., folks. There's 2 countries, I cannot emphasize this enough. Two fucking countries on this planet. On this planet. That are not run by the New World Order. Iran and Syria. Which is why the whole entire fucking world, United Nations, NATO, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, BRICS nations, is why they're trying to destroy these 2 countries. The unfortunate part here is the United States and everyone else is trying to get these 2 countries to get controlled by the United Nations and by the New World Order and by the Illuminati. The only 2 people that are helping these countries is Russia and China. They're friends. And I'll tell you right now, you don't want to fuck with Russia and China. Okay? Moving on to 18. To give the fullest support to supranational institutions such as the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, Bank of International Settlements, the World Court, which the World Court is pretty much the New World Order. Okay? And as far as possible, make local institutions less effective by gradually phasing them out or bringing them under the mantle of the United Nations. 19. To penetrate and subvert all governments and work from within them to destroy the sovereign integrity of the nations represented by them. Did you folks notice a couple of years ago the Ukraine elections? Duly elected officials overthrown by your United States government. Oh, and by the way, that one plane that was shot down with like 500 people on it, whatever it was, yeah, it was a Ukrainian rocket that shot that plane down. End of fucking story. And who runs the Ukraine? The United Nations. Moving on to 19. To penetrate and subvert all governments and work from within them to destroy the sovereign integrity of the nations represented by them. 20. To organize a worldwide terrorist apparatus. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, ISIL, they're all the fucking same. And to negotiate with terrorists whenever terrorist activities take place. It will be recalled that it was Bettino Craxi who persuaded the Italian and U.S. governments to negotiate with the Red Brigades, kidnappers of Prime Minister Moro and General Dozier. If you don't know that one, you might want to go and look it up. As an aside, Dozier was placed under strict orders not to talk what happened to him. Should he ever break the silence, he will no doubt be made a horrible example of, and that's in their own words, and the manner in which Henry Kissinger dealt with Aldo Moro, Ali Bhutto, and General Hawk. Okay, if you don't know what happened to these people, they were killed. Duly elected officials, presidents, killed by people like Henry Kissinger on their word of the Red Brigades because Henry Kissinger is a fucking Nazi. Now ask yourself how somebody who's a Nazi works for the United States government, yet the United States government is mostly run by Jews. Hello? Anyone fucking home yet? These people do not care about religion or ethnicity or anything else. Moving on to 21, to take control of education in America with the intent and purpose of utterly and completely destroying it. By 1993, the full force effect of this policy is becoming apparent and will be even more destructive as primary and secondary schools begin to teach outcome-based education, or what they would call nowadays Common Core, which teaches you 2 plus 2 equals 5. That's why I keep telling people, home school. You want your fucking kids taught? You teach them what you want them to be taught. You keep teaching them shit like stranger danger, yet you send them off to school to be taught by a state referendum that has nothing to fucking do with your morals or values. It's what the government wants them taught. So you're pretty much sending your kids to school to be socialists and communists in a so-called democratic country that's actually Republican, and to the republic for which it stands, not to the democracy for which it stands. Hello? What fucking planet are you people living on? Thank God we're at the end of the list here, because now I'm getting angry. Which is why I did this video in 2 parts. If you don't know, California has implemented law where your children must get vaccinated or they don't go to school. And they must learn Common Core or they don't go to school. And you cannot homeschool your children because the government says and the state says you cannot do that. Because it ain't your fucking kid, it's their fucking kid, right? Whose kid is it? Well, I'll have you know, that's what Social Security numbers are for. That's what blood tests are for. Now the government and the state owns your fucking blood type. They own your child. They own the Social Security number they're under. They own your fucking kid. Agenda 21. 21 goals of the Illuminati. Gee, what a fucking coinky dink. I better get out of here before I come up with a bunch of more shit that you don't want to hear. Do some fucking research. Prove to yourself that me and the rest of the fucking permanent patriots are not bullshitting you. Snap the fuck out of it. Learn about term limits. Learn how your vote does not count anywhere. Okay, they're gonna tell you what your kid can and cannot fucking do. Not you telling them. This is what happens when government becomes too big, as opposed to what the founding fathers said, keep government small and under control. This is what fucking happens. And if you think it's a joke, just wait till your kid has autism or ADHD. Oh, your kid's a little jittery in class? ADHD. Your kid's asking too many questions? ADHD. They're fucking kids. That's what kids do. So figure it out for yourself. Do some research yourself. And have a great fucking day. I hope your kids get home safe and don't come up missing in some kind of fucking, child sex slave ring or some shit that they got going on, run by the government. Okay? That's it for now. God bless. And carry on. I certainly hope no one comes up missing or their fucking kid doesn't become autistic because of the chemicals they're putting in the air or the chemicals they're putting in the food, the GMOs, the fluoride in the water, the chemicals in the air. I mean, hello? I know it's disturbing news to hear, but what are you going to do? Okay, Dr. John Coleman. I think some of the chemicals are getting to you too. Okay, aluminum, major cause of Alzheimer's. Barium, major cause of autism. I mean, snap the fuck out of it already, folks. That's all I can stand for right now. God bless and carry on.